I apologize. My wife had an issue with her Zoom thing. So, alright, so here we started chapter 5. Here we go. Zarkon grabbed a handful of miniature explosives, which were about the size of an orange, and headed out the main door with Dormiton. Miljic followed them and pressed the button to shut the door hatch. The insect placed the bombs in a circular pattern in the jungle surrounding the Rigel 4. The weapons activated by sudden pressure applied to them, such as a foot stepping on them or anyone who tried to move them. He knew the first thing Riona would do was to try to tap into their thoughts. Zarkon developed a tolerance to his probing with some success and could block out some of the thought transmissions, but found it impossible to prevent all of them. He could block minor things such as planting explosives by concentrating where his friends might have gone. By the time the two planted the bombs and found the cobalt, their friend Miljic had set up and lit the torches. They found various berries and fruits to dine on for dinner. It was just before nightfall, and Zarkon told Miljic to keep the first watch. He sat at the open main door holding his laser gun tight, scared, but knowing this new instrument of destruction would save him. As it grew darker, he heard the growling sounds throughout the jungle that seemed to get closer as the day went on. He shouted to Zarkon, who worked on the casing, to the jamming device, and jumped up when he heard his scream, and Dormiton followed him quickly. "They're out there," he stated. "The light hurts their eyes. As long as those torches are lit, they won't bother us." "How can you be so sure?" Miljic asked. "Because I am," explained Zarkon. "They appear to be afraid of the light. Stay out here with them, Dormiton. I've got to get the casing done. If any of those creatures attack, climb back in the ship and start shooting." Zarkon went back to finish his task. He melted the cobalt down, shaped it, and formed a crude casing around the wiring in the dimensional tracker device. He was just putting on the finishing touches and only needed to test it, which would have to wait until they got off the planet. The trio found it tough to sleep as the growling continued through most of the night. Zarkon stayed awake to monitor the scanners and keep watch. It was 2 days since their arrival, and there was still no sign of Riona, and he began to wonder if the same thing that happened to Belor happened to the council leader as well. Riona seldom let his enemies get the best of him, fighting battles with Balta and the Tolarians for years. The Tolarians were cunning adversaries, even by his own standards, and even without his mental power. Balta and Riona were both tyrannical dictators at their best, moving from planet to planet, defying anything that got in their way. The humanoid wasn't any different than a Tolarian. The only difference was Riona violated known peace treaties and used the Republicans' military force to do his dirty work. Zarkon wanted no part of it. He was a being of true peace, like his friend Dormiton told him earlier. Unlike his amphibian friend, however, he knew peace would not come without a fight. He summoned the computer for an explanation of what happened to Belor's prosperous colony. "Belor intact, with no life forms indicated," it answered. "Explain," stated Zarkon. "Sensors indicate no life readings other than microscopic life forms. Is the planet emitting any radioactivity or electromagnetic impulses?" "Affirmative. Radioactivity colony is at an extremely high level." It was apparent the base on Belor suffered some kind of attack. The planet was there all right, but the dome sealing the force field were destroyed by an explosion, probably from the death ray itself. He decided, as a last alternative, he would find Jeff using the ship's computer. "Are there any Homo sapien life forms on this planet?" he asked. "Affirmative. Sensors indicate one Homo sapien life form located 3.9 miles from this craft. Is it living? Affirmative. Sensors indicate breathing pattern regular, loss of blood, structural damage in bone and lower right fibula, structural damage in bone and left humerus, and a puncture wound in the lower spine area. It was clear to Zarkon from this information that Jeff was injured and possibly dying and hiding. He decided they would abandon the ship in the morning and set out together to find him. If they destroyed the ship, at least they could find a place to hide until Riona left. He noticed a faint reading on his scanners coming from beyond the galaxy. He guessed Riona discovered their whereabouts and was on his way to meet them. It would take him at least a day to reach his destination, which gave them a little time to find their friend and escape. Zarkon finished the jamming device in time and tried to get some sleep, but it wasn't easy. I shouldn't have let him go alone, he thought. Then he thought that wouldn't have mattered anyway, the human's determination being as it was. While pondering the situation, he heard scratching at the door. He peered out the viewing screen only to discover the torches went out, leading him to believe their visitors knocked them over and were proceeding to claw their way in. He grabbed his laser gun quickly as one began to pound on the door, putting a dent in it and waking the Lingwarts. "What are we going to do?" yelled Dormiton, as a hand reached in, prying the door open at its crack. Zarkon fired his laser at the hand, burning it severely. The creature screamed in pain as another hand reached its way through and began to pry the door again. Zarkon fired back, hitting the creature square in the chest. "Open the main door hatch," he yelled in haste, as the Lingwarts looked at him as if he was insane. Dormiton tried but was unable to. "It's jammed," he yelled as another creature reached in and grabbed Zarkon's leg. "Help me," he yelled to his friends, who each grabbed a laser. Dormiton fired, hitting the creature in the arm, the blast of the laser throwing him clear across the ship and against the wall. Zarkon stumbled to his feet as his leg bled green blood from the claws which ripped into him. Another reptile threw his entire body weight against the door, denting it again. Zarkon limped to the door, sticking the laser gun through the crack and firing erratically in all different directions. They heard the screams grow louder, and then 3 minutes later there wasn't a sound. "Are they gone?" Dormiton asked, lifting himself off the floor. "For the moment," Zarkon said, as he examined the damage to the door. "We'll have to stay alert, however. They probably will come back, once they're no longer fearful of us. I can't understand why none of their explosives worked." "Maybe they found them," Miljic suggested. "If that were true," Zarkon stated, "they're capable of reason, which I don't believe is the case. Perhaps if we were to offer them food or something, they would go away." "You have got to be kidding," Miljic laughed. "It's obvious that we're food to them." They may have Jeff," Zarkon said. "We have got to find some way to get him back. Are you willing to risk his life for your own?" "No," Miljic answered, "but we can't make deals with savages either, especially if we're the main course. We can't attack them forever either. They'll outnumber us and take the ship anyway," Zarkon said. "Maybe they feel we are a threat and are defending themselves." "What about defending ourselves?" Dormiton asked. "I thought you were advocates of peace," Zarkon joked. "Not with something as dangerous as they are," Miljic snapped. "We have to do something." "I agree with you, but we have to try at least. If they become violent, then we'll defend ourselves. Agreed?" They nodded reluctantly. "I'll go out and try to offer them some of the fish I caught earlier," Zarkon told them. "Leave the main door open so I can get back in case they're hostile." Zarkon jumped from the ship as he pried the doors open with their hands and a laser rifle. Zarkon jumped from the ship as they pried the doors open with their hands in a laser rifle. Okay. The reptiles still present, they backed away from the ship about 30 feet and didn't even touch the fish hanging on the tree next to the vessel. Zarkon could barely endure the pain in his leg as he limped towards them, raising his arms in the air. "I do not wish to harm you," he said slowly. "We come in peace." The reptile's reddish eyes glowed in the darkness as they crept towards him. It was apparent they had seen a spaceship before, because they were neither frightened nor bewildered by it. Zarkon couldn't determine whether they could understand him or not, for they didn't answer him. "Have you seen our friend?" he asked. "The human?" They continued to creep towards him, leading him to believe they had no intention of communicating. He backed up towards the ship and gripped his laser tight. They followed every movement he made until he ran towards the door, as several of them attacked him with lightning speed. Zarkon felt the claws upon him as he fell, dropping his laser to the ground. One grabbed his injured leg and sank his fangs into it, as another bit his top left arm. He found it difficult to escape, even with forearms, as the searing pain grew unbearable. Dormiton hit the landing light control switch and quickly scared them off. He ran out to help their injured friend, with his comrade Miljic close behind. "Are you all right?" Miljic yelled as he bent over Zarkon. "Not really," he snapped, trying to block the pain from his mind, finding it extremely difficult. "What can we do?" Miljic asked. "There is something," their insect friend gasped. "I must transfer my pain to one of you to heal myself. You'll only be in pain temporarily, and then we will both be okay." He touched Dormiton's head with his gently squeezed right upper claw and began to form a mind transference with the amphibian. Miljic watched as the insect transferred his pain to the lingwort, and his wounds gradually disappeared. Dormiton screamed as he felt every bit of agony his friend went through. When the wounds disappeared, the pain subsided as well. "Are you okay?" Miljic asked them both. "I'm all right," Dormiton answered. "We'll both be just fine," Zarkon answered, and rose from the sand, feeling a bit drained. "How did you do that?" Miljic questioned. "By thought transference," he explained. "I used my mind to eliminate pain. The pain was transferred to Dormiton until I could heal my own wounds. When they healed, there was no longer any pain." "That's incredible," Miljic said as they climbed back into the ship. "Has Riona ever used his power like that?" "No, as far as I know, he never had this ability. Only certain Zakarians possess such power. That is where I am originally from, Zakaris." They closed the main door behind them and then helped Zarkon sit down at the helm. "You were right," he admitted. "It appears that they do not wish to communicate." "Do you think they've got Jeff?" Miljic asked. "Well, they haven't eaten him yet, according to the ship's life reading sensors. In the morning, we'll get him and leave this planet." "The morning may be too late," Dormiton pleaded. "We can't attack them at night," Zarkon explained. "They have the advantage. We'll have to wait until the morning, and once we find their den or nest, we can attack them by air. According to our sensors, that would be approximately 3 miles from here." "Won't we kill Jeff if we do that?" Miljic asked. "Not if we get him out first. Dormiton will be in charge of that. You and I will need to operate the ship. Right now, we need to get some rest." "What about those things out there?" Miljic screeched. "As much as I hate to do it, we'll have to leave the landing lights on," Zarkon said. "I will repair the door first thing in the morning." Zarkon was uncertain if these creatures slept at all, but he knew bright lights bothered them. If they slept in the daytime, there was at least a chance of saving their friend from impending doom. The next day, the glare of the black spacecraft was bright as the sun rose above the canyon on Zebula. The inhabitants jumped through the crack of the door and eyed the area for any leftover visitors. Dormton ran to the water to get a drink and felt the current of the water, careful not to make the same mistake his friend Miljic made a day earlier. Miljic followed Dormton cautiously. "Enjoy, my friends," Zarkon said, realizing this may be their last swim. He reached inside the craft, pulled out a long 3-inch wide plastic tube, and placed it into the water. This method was used to collect their drinking supply carried in a tank inside the hull of the ship, which was also part of the shielding system that protected them from gamma rays and radiation. He turned on the pump to circulate the water and turned towards the damaged door. Crawling back inside, he searched for a welding device to repair the metal. He noticed the sensors were picking up several alien vessels, which were no more than 3 hours away. He knew that if he wanted to escape, they would have to do it soon, Jeff or no Jeff. "After I finish this door, we're getting out of here," he yelled to his two friends, and jumped back in the ship. "What about Jeff?" Dormton asked, approaching him. He knew that neither of them was going to like what he had to say. "I'm afraid we don't have enough time to save him," he explained. "Riona will be here in less than 3 hours. We have to get out of here before he gets a link on our minds." "Can't we escape to the far side of the island?" Miljic asked as he began to panic. "He'll find us," Zarkon answered. "If we remain here, we will die. I do not wish to leave your friend here, but we have no choice if the rest of us are to survive." "Isn't there anywhere that's safe?" Dormton asked. "There is only one place in the universe that's safe," Zarkon stated. "Where is that?" Miljic asked. "At the council chambers on Centros. He cannot harm us there," Zarkon said. "Why not?" Miljic asked. "Because his powers are ineffective there. The council is Republic headquarters. "I thought you said he is the leader of the Republic," Dormton questioned. "He is," Zarkon said, as he repaired the main door, "but he doesn't control them. There are powers in the universe even stronger than his." "Then I suppose that is our next stop," Miljic asked, his green eyes fixed on the insect. "After we search for Jeff again, right?" "No," Zarkon insisted. "We have to distract Riona so he doesn't know we're leaving." "How?" Miljic asked. "By creating a small diversion. We'll use that wrecked spaceship as a decoy. I don't want either one of you to think about Jeff. I want you to concentrate on fear as if we are crashing. Maybe we can trick him into believing we crashed. By the time he gets here, we'll be long gone." "What guarantee do we have that he doesn't already know what we're planning?" Miljic asked. "He cannot read minds at this range," Zarkon answered. "That's a relief," Miljic sighed. "But he will be able to do so as he reaches orbit, so be prepared," Zarkon commanded. He finished welding the replacement metal on the door and fixed the circuitry, opened and closed the doors for a test, then ordered them to get on board. After 2 hours of making sure all systems were running normally, and after putting away the water tubing, they prepared to lift off. The sensors indicated the Republic ships were at the edge of that particular solar system, and they decided to make their move immediately. Zarkon's scheme would hopefully distract his enemy. They were going to fire the weapons on the area where the spacecraft was, creating an explosion big enough so it would show up on their sensors and escape before they landed to investigate. Riona didn't know that Zarkon created a unique jamming device, making him invisible to even their scanners. Zarkon fired the propulsion rockets, which lifted them off the ground and burned the plants and rocks below them to ash. The Lingwards peered out of the viewing screen, the ship slowly rising above the canyon, leaving what they hoped would be a new home. They couldn't help but feel remorse and shame for leaving Jeff behind. The arthropod felt this way as well, but knew they had no choice in the matter if the rest of their crew were to survive. It was one of the hardest decisions he ever had to make. He just hoped Jeff would stay out of their enemies' hands. Zarkon knew Jeff was the only thing Riona could lock onto, and would use him to get to the rest of them. He became more nervous and began to sense the presence of the adversarial tyrant approaching closer than the Zebula. The Rigel 4 passed over the lake, and Zarkon instructed the computer to fire the lasers. They struck the clearing where the ship was with pinpoint accuracy. It seemed a shame to destroy these precious artifacts, Zarkon thought. The wreckage was obviously from a much superior race than either Belar or Teleria. He wished for more time to study the strange, mysterious race. Discouraged, he fired the booster rockets and headed through the atmosphere toward space. "Goodbye, Jeff Walker," he said while the Lingworths wept. "We'll miss you, my friend." He checked the scanners, making sure Riona was still out of range. He then turned to his two friends. "I'll need your help," he said. "Dormiton, activate the dimensional transporter and jamming device. We're going to head back to our own universe." The Lingworth walked over to the panel. "Which button is it?" he asked. "It should be marked," the commander said. "There is a red button and a green button. Press them both." He followed his orders, and a solar flare appeared again, creating another wormhole. They traveled through it and found themselves back in their own universe within seconds, and dizzy as ever. "I don't think I'll ever get used to this jumping around," Mildred jested. "Plot a course for Central, star sector 891101, Zarkon said as the computer reacted to his command. He then turned to his friends. We still may have to hijack another ship." "Why?" Dormiton asked. "We've escaped for the moment, and we've left our best friend there." "That moment won't last long," Zarkon stated. "Riona already has a death warrant out on me, and when he finds out we've escaped again, he won't be so easy on us." "What about Jeff?" Mildred insisted. "His fate is out of our hands now," Zarkon said. "He wouldn't leave you here," Mildred sniped. "I'm afraid that isn't true," Zarkon replied. "He's courageous, but he's not unintelligent." "I still think you're wrong," Dormiton snapped. "Look, guys, I don't like this any more than you do, but if we did rescue him, we would put all of our lives at risk. Do you want that?" They shook their heads, bowing them. "All right, then. Besides, Jeff would have wanted us to finish our mission. Instead of sulking, you should be helping me come up with a plan. We cannot just coast into Centros in an enemy ship unannounced. The Republic will attack us first, and then recover what's left of our burned corpses." "What do you suggest we do then?" Mildred asked. "We send a distress signal," Zarkon replied. "A distress signal?" Dormiton asked. "Yes," the scholarly insect stated. "Even if it's a Tolarian ship, they'll investigate it." "Then what?" Mildred asked. "Then we'll try to explain our situation. The Council is bound to help." "And if they don't?" Dormiton questioned. "Then we won't be any worse off than we already are." "At least now we're alive and free," Mildred sneered. "We'll never be free as long as Riona is after us. If the Council can't help us, no one can." Fear and doubt overcame the small crew as the Tolarian ship traveled through the endless region of space. The uncertainty of ever reaching home again and fear of what became of their friend plagued their minds. Zarkon couldn't help but feel defeated in the task of rescuing his friends from certain death. He tried to deal peacefully with his leader, but now knew that he was beyond reasoning and had slipped towards madness, and would stop at nothing to seek his revenge against the Tolarians, even defy the Council, if he hadn't already. And that's for tonight. That's all for tonight. Next week we'll get into Chapter 6, and that's about all I got for tonight. I do want to say that I have a couple shows coming up in May. It's going to be a busy month. I got the City Market on the first weekend, Actually, the second Sunday of the month will be Mother's Day. And then the following weekend after that, I'll be in Binghamton for the Conklin Con. And then the end of the month, I will be in Waterloo on the I think it's the 29th. It's whatever that Sunday is. It's 29th, I believe. So I'll be in that location. And I'll also be performing my keyboards the day before, 28th, at Johnson Park in Liverpool, New York. So until next time, be good, and we'll see you. And we'll see you back in the land of the multiverse. Till next time, bye.